haunted person syndrome, Pishtacos, and more talking trees, the radar is activated.
Welcome to the Werewolf Radar Show. Thanks for tuning in. Ghost vampires, UFOs. Where do we begin?
Welcome to Werewolf Radar, the world's premier paranormal preparedness podcast. My name's Jordan Dahl,
I am Balding.
I'm Roger Norquist.
and today's episode of Werewolf Radar is brought to you on this wonderful Father's Day by Monstroco brand reverse vasectomies. Not a father? You will be with Monstroco reverse vasectomies. Get that urethra as wide as a 4-lane highway with Monstroco reverse vasectomies by Monstroco. What the fuck? And it does the pamphlets they sent me. It does show a guy with a car driving out of his penis. It might be going into it reverse, but
It's a still, so you can't
Yeah.
really tell. But
And
There's
it's
no
being-
motion lines on there.
they should add speed
direction.
lines. Yeah.
it's being driven by babies, and they all seem to be having a great time.
That's what matters.
The lead baby is wearing shades.
That's
Cool,
how you know
baby.
he's the lead.
He's their leader. Exactly. Do you think if people sometimes have like multiple children, that's the first thing that they ask is like, all right, who's in
Which one
charge?
you-
Who do I pay?
That
Well-
was definitely how my dad raised me for sure. Just me and my brothers going like, okay, which one of you's in charge? I don't know how to
Yeah.
feed you.
Yeah. You,
I-
little one, watch the big one. Big one, watch the middle one.
I hadn't crossed my mind before, but from now on, that is anytime I meet twins or triplets, that's the number one question.
Which one's in charge?
Yeah.
Who's the leader?
I used to ask which one is the real one.
That's good too. Which one's evil? Yeah, these are all good. Shout out twins. Shout out triplets. We love you guys. Thanks for listening.
Quadruplets, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, get out of here. Nobody needs 4 of you. Fellas, can I interest you in one of the strangest, most scariest things that I've read in recent history?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
yes.
Scariest. So I was looking through a lot of topics today. We almost talked about the first vampire. We almost talked about star jelly. We almost talked about the Tengu. We will talk about all of these things at some point, but they were all derailed when I came upon the tale of the Peruvian Pishtacos. And no, I'm not saying fish tacos. I'm saying Pishtacos. This is the tale of the Pishtaco as relayed to us by revista.doctorclass.harvard.edu. This is the Harvard Review of Latin America.
Now,
This is by Carolyn Yeazer.
now you're saying pish taco,
Pishtaco.
one word, not
Yeah.
pish.
No,
Taco.
No,
like a
one
pish
word.
taco.
no, because pish isn't a thing unless you're a drunk English person.
I am sometimes.
Oh, we'll have a pish. I'll go for a pish. I also knew a drunk British man who used to call it having a slash when he had to pee. Be like, oh, I've
I've
got a
heard that
bathroom for
before.
a slash. It's pretty fucking cool.
It is cool, but it's also frightening.
It's
'cause,
also
like,
very scary. Yeah.
why are you cutting things in half with your urine, man?
Yeah. Well, listen, because somebody didn't flush well enough.
Strong
Okay, here we go.
flow.
Fair enough.
News stories of captured drug gangs are so common in Peru that viewers barely noted the television appearance of 3 prisoners in November 2009. Police had captured a gang in the Huanuco jungle, a region known for narco traffic and drug violence. They stood in front of an almost empty evidence table. Instead of the usual contraband, the table had held 2 Inca Cola soda bottles, and fucking Inca Cola is incredible. Have you ever had it?
I've heard legends.
It's amazing. It tastes like cream soda, and it's made with corn. I guess most soda is, but this one really
Not in the
focuses on it.
American syrup fashion.
That's true. 2 Inca Kola soda bottles filled with a yellow liquid too thick to be soda. What do you think it might be, fellas? What horrifying thing do you think
Well,
it
you
might
said
be?
you said we're not talking about star jelly. That would have been my
That's right.
first guess.
No, it was human fat, the officer
Oh,
said.
I was gonna say
Oh.
pee, like really bad pee.
Really sick pee.
Yeah.
Slashy pea.
Yeah. Chowder.
Pea with a half.
Chowder pee.
Yeah. It was human fat taken from a 27-year-old man that had gone missing that year. The gang allegedly lured the man into the jungle with a fake job offer and then killed him to sell his fat to a European cosmetics company. One prisoner confessed that he was told the company would pay $15,000 per liter of fat.
Now I'm an American who lives in the city, but it seems weird to go to the jungle
Yeah.
for a job interview. I'm in a different culture though, different ways of doing things.
Yeah, he had to travel there from Miami. He thought he was interviewing for Google.
So you're
Police-
going to give me $15,000 per liter of fat? I am a heavy man.
Not for long. Police discovered the remains of the disappeared man's body and linked it to the prisoners. Blah, 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 blah. A manhunt was underway for the rest of the gang, including 2 Italians that the police claimed were wanted by Interpol. Fat thieves, no doubt.
Mario
some-
and Luigi, always on the run.
Rio and Luigi, exactly.
How do you think they get those coins?
For some Peruvian peasants whose bodies showed signs of hard work in the hot sun, the existence of a human fat face cream seemed plausible. It might explain the relatively fatter, less wrinkled faces of Europeans and North Americans, for example. The story also makes more sense when seen in the light of Andean myths, not Andy's mints. Andean myths. I am not implying that Andy's mints are made from human fat. Please.
I am now.
Please, no. They
Different
are
entity than
regular-
Werewolf Radar. This is
regular
Roger
chocolate.
Norquist implying that Andy's mints are made with human fat.
Yeah. All views your own. You know what? If they are, I'm not going to stop eating them. They're
They're
delicious.
so good. They're so good. Have you ever had an after 8?
Oh,
I don't
think
like
so.
any of these. Is it like extra minty?
No,
Or
it's
is it
like
the dark
um,
chocolate savory version?
It's a dark chocolate square that's like flat, and within it has minty cream. It's a very British snack. They you know how sometimes like chocolate will have a commercial that makes it seem like it's for people who are like having an affair or something.
Yeah.
It's like night chocolate for fancy liars. It's one of those in Britain. After 8. I guess you're supposed to eat them at night.
This chocolate comes with its own set of garters.
Yeah, exactly. Television, the police declare that the prisoners were part of a global fat trafficking network, right? Operating in
That's-
Peru. As the manhunt continued, the prosecutor and the public quickly dubbed the gang Pishtacos, a kind of Andean monster that extracts fat from the bodies of indigenous people, either for its own consumption or as a primary material for certain industrial products.
So this is like the literal avatar for American industrial and commercial expansion.
That's
Yeah.
what I just
Yeah.
heard. Yes.
Yeah, well, listen, let's read on. Myths about the fat-sucking Pishtaco circulated in South America during the conquest. At the time, Pishtacos were depicted as a white man, usually with a beard, like the Europeans of the time,
That
and
makes sense.
green or blue eyes, armed with a knife for butchering the body. The Pishtacos supposedly extracted the fat of people who were not paying attention, drunkards or travelers who had lost their way, veering too far afield of the main village. Now, you have to really not be paying attention for somebody to carve off a piece of taffy, piece of man taffy.
Or like they're just sneaking behind you, like
Yeah.
down the alley. You turn around and they go behind a pillar.
Ah! And then you come out the other end of the alley, very slender, very fit.
slender, looking good. If
Yeah.
that was your goal to lose some
Mhm.
weight.
The Pishtaco would attack on the highways at night or in a hidden valley. So if you got so drunk that you ended up in the hidden valley, It was going to be a bad night.
It happens.
I mean, that's the only way to get there is to be completely blotto.
Yeah. It's like getting to Hogwarts.
Yeah.
You gotta be in the right place at the right time. Pishtacos have something in common with Western monsters. Like the vampire that must take human blood to live, Pishtacos might need to consume human fat. But even in the colonial era, Pishtacos had an entrepreneurial streak. This is the strangest thing about them, is like they're taking it either to eat or let's read on.
Industrial resource.
Indigenous people believe that the Pishtacos used the fat to help Europeans make items that were beyond the ken of indigenous peoples at the time. For example, the tremendous metal bells tolling in every church and every plaza must have been made with a rare material like human fat. Even today, some believe that some of the stolen human fat is needed to run new technology, from airplanes to laptop computers.
I mean, there is grease in between a fan and most CPUs and laptops and everything, so I can't disprove this statement.
Exactly.
Well, and we know that all Teslas are built with a human stomach as an engine.
That is true. That's why you have to feed them electric. You got to feed them lightning.
That.
Yeah. Anthropologists theorize that Pishtaco rumors express deeply held beliefs about the structure of inequality and race in the Andes. Andrew Canessa and Mary Weissmantle, for example, say that Pishtacos are a symbol of racial anxieties, since the Pishtacos hover on the edge of the village in the no man's land between the more rural Quechua-speaking Highlanders and the more urban mestizos. Canessa argues that the Pishtacos' violence serves as a warning of the more abusive side of white or mestizo elites. Parents warn their children about the terrible monster scaring indigenous highland children into not straying too far from the village. The Pishtacos' focus on fat has a unique connection to power in the Andes, one that expresses the exploitative relationship between indigenous peasants and the wider world. The word for the origin deity, Viracocha, can mean literally lake of fat. But Vira can also be a term of respect for powerful, though feared, European landowners in the colonial area. Especially for peasants, body fat is a life force and source of source of survival in times of crop failure. Stealing fat, then, is a way of stealing the labor of that body. For indigenous people who survived by manual labor in Peru, the horrifying Pishtaco figure expresses the inhumane conditions which powerful mestizos, whites, and foreigners force on indigenous bodies, first in the mines and the fields of the conquistadors, and now for inadequate rights and compensation.
This fucking myth gets it. Based
Right?
as fuck.
Seriously.
Shit. Rumors about Pishtacos. Go ahead.
I was just saying, we were talking about which essays are you reading earlier, and
This one.
this is very close to the essays I've been reading.
Yeah, right. Rumors about Pishtacos are also a part of the way marginalized people contest the social order that subordinates them. As James Scott has shown, rumors and conspiracy theories abound among subgroups of people in situations of drastic inequality, slaves, prisoners, or peasants, for example. Such groups may not be able to speak openly about the abuse they experience from the superiors due to risk of punishment. Instead, they communicate in highly coded or veiled ways that become folklore. As white monsters, Pishtacos are a shorthand for the seemingly irrational violence perpetrated on indigenous people by the white or mestizo elite. Rumors about Pishtacos and beauty creams describe a world that presents an image of good and prosperity, but secretly maintains itself by consuming the fat of the world's poor. Holy shit.
Yeah, that's pretty intense.
Yeah. But just as rumors are used by subordinate groups, they can also be used by elites to dominate. Another interpretation of the beauty cream story might see Pishtacos and other conspiracy theories as what Scott called the arts of domination, the useful tools for those in power to mislead the public and maintain the status quo. Pretty spooky. A few weeks later, the police announced their arrests. Their story unraveled. Plastic surgeons dismissed the ideas that there was a demand for human fat, explaining that elite liposuction clinics in the rich neighborhoods of Lima had plenty of fat that no one needed.
We're like, please, someone take our fat. There's no
that
reason
does-
to murder people.
That does seem like a plot hole in the whole they're stealing the fat to sell it kind of thing. It's
Yeah.
like people are getting this sucked out all the time, and they just dump it into the wave pool at Waterworld. I
Yeah.
heard.
That's what makes the waves so big.
Yeah.
Keeps it jiggly.
Transplant doctors wondered why the criminals, so keen to make profit on a human body, would not harvest organs that were in high demand. Yeah, nobody's going to the plastic surgeon to be like, these kidneys are making me fat. Can I lose one? Political analysts began to suspect the sensationalist Pishtaco gang was a government-created distraction. Stories of the monsters had already pushed news coverage of a state corruption scandal off the front page.
Damn.
Oh.
Holy shit. In fact,
False
police were only
flag
able
it.
to collect evidence that the gang killed one person. However, more than 60 people had mysteriously disappeared, a high number for a rural area. The missing people had been presumed dead, but their families had demanded an investigation. Peru's state forces had a history of mass executions during the worst periods of political violence. Might the entire thing have been a cover-up for state-sanctioned violence? Or were the disappeared victims of the drug cartels? If so, might police have lied to save face? Pretty wild.
Well, yeah, probably.
Well,
Yeah.
good job keeping everyone's story straight.
Yeah. Pretty buck wild. But that is the story of not only the Pishtaco, which I have just learned about, but how they got all mixed up in a situation where people were stealing fat to people who weren't paying attention and or drunk from them, I suppose. And thus ends my segment, which I'm calling Chewing the Fat.
Nice.
Is
So
chewing the
it-
fat? I don't know.
We'll figure it out. We'll get it
Figure
in
something out.
post. We'll nail
Get it
it.
in post. Fix it in post. Reviewing the fat. No, I got it.
All right, let me go first. Nate, do you want to go next?
Sure. Either way. I can
Okay.
close it out.
All right, I'll hold the speaking skull for now. My segment from Forbes.com by one Mark Travers is entitled New Psychological Research Says Paranormal Experiences Are the Norm, Not the Exception.
What I'm saying.
I mean, we've been. This is our thing. This is
This is our
basically
whole
our
thing.
slogan.
It's
Yeah.
our whole damn thing.
It's happening to all of us. We're all haunted. A new study published in Spirituality in Clinical Practice explains that an individual experience hauntings and ghostly experiences may have haunted people syndrome. Haunting
God.
haunting phenomena are complex, intertwined phenomena involving personality, ideology, culture, and previous experiences toward making sense of an event or series of events deemed a haunting,
Mhm.
says psychologist Brian Lath.
I also heard that sometimes a ghost will mistake a person for a house and haunt them.
Like that's what's happening.
They'll get in there and they'll be like, oh, this tummy must be the rumpus room. And over here, this liver, that's the kitchen. And this butthole, that's the mud room.
Good poop joke.
Mhm, thank you.
Collaborators Jim Horan and Brian Lath, along with other colleagues, recently finished a 5-year research program culminating in 20 peer-reviewed research papers and their recent book, Ghosted. Their primary goal was to use research to build a better understanding of hauntings and related paranormal phenomena.
Nice.
Haunted people syndrome was one of the primary theories built out of this research. Lath and Horan proposed 4 core features of haunted people syndrome. Let's see if we got them.
Bats in the hair, spiders in the mouth, eyeballs that are somebody else's eyeballs.
That's 3. You got a 4th, or is that
Got
for your book?
got your hands replaced with a serial killer's hands.
Nice, nice. Number 1 from the minds of Lathe and Horon. The meaning, making, or narrative created around haunting experiences is influenced by personal backgrounds, beliefs, and personality characteristics.
Sure. Tracks.
Right? So if I am understanding that, you may have haunted people syndrome if your haunting is
believe
based
you're
upon,
haunted.
yes, if you believe, if your personal background says that I've been haunted before, like, or if this is just like your personality bends towards that way.
Right.
Number 2, anxiety and distress regarding hauntings are a function of the nature, closeness, and spontaneity of anomalous experiences.
Okay.
All right. So, I mean, that makes sense. You know, like anytime you're having like deja vu for a long period of time, it's an anomaly that usually points. I don't know about you guys, but I always think, wait, did I live this before? Is that what's happening here? Am I
Yes.
being shown something?
Yes. Definitely something I think of most of us have experienced. Number 3, distress and unease make anomalous experiences more likely to occur. Well,
Occur.
I forgot how words work.
You'll get it.
And I guess, yeah, that is a big marker on a lot of hauntings I see. People get distressed, they start getting angry with each other, they fight with their partners or whatever, and then more
Sure.
hauntings occur. They start blaming the hauntings for killing their husband or wife, you know, like it's distress leading to more distress. It's a
Hauntings
cycle.
on hauntings on hauntings.
Man, anytime I listen to a podcast or any kind of like a YouTube show where they have like call-ins or just even interviews with people, and there's a guy who's like talking about a wife that, you know, while that was there while he was experiencing whatever things are, and then he has to say, well, ex-wife actually. I'm like, oh yeah, I
There
can
it
see
is.
someone being driven insane by your
Yeah.
constant. I think there's a ghost.
Nobody answer the phone. It's a Dracula.
Number 4,
Mhm.
anomalous experiences tend to be contagious,
Oh, God.
such as anomalous experiences can spread to others, which I've seen in things too, to where like you go or someone is haunted, they bring in their best friend, and now the thing's following their best
And
friend.
it moves, it
Mm.
moves on, or a part of it moves on.
It follows.
It's kind of, well, I mean, that's like, you know, and not to make memes more than they are, but like that's the actual, like if you look into the study of memetics, that is like the passage of a packet of information socially,
Sure.
you know, is actually what so I mean it's the memification of the paranormal world, basically.
Yeah.
And the reason that we talk about memes that way is because it was already a naturally occurring thing that happens,
Yeah.
you know?
Not to make a meme out of a molehill.
According to the researchers, many of the reports of hauntings and the people involved in them can be understood by treating the events as symptoms. Just like symptoms of the flu, the severity of the diagnosis is a function of the degree and rarity of symptoms and their length, explains Lathe.
Yeah, haunted by COVID again.
I got my lungs haunted again.
And it does seem to be, once again, a case we see in so many things to where, and even in abductions, you know, abducted as a child and you just keep getting abducted throughout, or even
Keeps
like your
happening.
grandmother was abducted, your mom was abducted throughout their life,
Sure.
and now you're abducted through their life. This
Interesting.
seems to fit that type of syndrome as well, according to Huron and Lathe.
But I do think that it's very funny if the reason that like the genetic tradition of abductions happens is because aliens just can't tell us apart very well. And they think that they're getting They think they're getting the same kid every time.
Damn it, this is a different guy.
They all look alike. It's not fair. Another important predictor of anomalous experiences is transliminality. Transliminality.
Hmm.
Transliminality.
Transliminality.
Jordan, say it again.
Transliminality.
As a concept, this refers to the boundary between the conscious self and the unconscious self,
Yes.
as well as the outside environment. In
Okay.
parapsychological research, it has been associated with extrasensory perception, out-of-body
Alright.
experiences, and visionary-like experiences in general,
Okay.
which I think also kind of goes to that deja vu kind of feeling,
Yeah,
maybe.
or I mean, also any like out of body or near death thing was probably falls into that category.
Do you
When
Although
remember,
those are both like way less common than common deja vu.
do you remember that old cartoon in the 90s, maybe the 80s, called Visionaries? That was basically just a way to sell holograms to children.
Listen, I bought each and every
Maybe?
one.
I'll
They were
have
the
any
first
holograms you got.
NTFs, baby, or NFTs, baby.
Either way.
Non-fungible because look at them the other way and you see something totally different.
Completely
It's
yep.
never there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as you kind of guessed, this is a paper, and by saying that paranormal experiences as the norm kind of aren't saying that paranormal experiences are happening to us all, but we might be going under a mass syndrome, or not. What am I trying to say? Not a mass hysteria, but we can all suffer very easily from this syndrome of thinking that we are haunted and thus showing the symptoms of being haunted.
Sure.
Right.
The
Well,
research, however, does draw attention to the pressing need to recognize and treat ghostly or paranormal experiences as real.
Thank you. Finally.
Like, very much, just because this could be a syndrome does not mean that it is not real. 100,
Right.
like
Yeah.
the experience is
Them.
happening.
Yeah, you dickheads.
It's like, when someone tells you they're in pain, you treat them as such because they probably are.
Yeah.
Lathe points out that ghostly episodes, shamanic experiences, and general high strangeness has been well documented throughout history. Furthermore, over 100 years of modern empirical psychology show
Mhm.
they are not going away despite changes in society's zeitgeist.
This is true.
So, like, no matter how society changes, like our myths have changes, our religions had changes so drastically, there's always ghosts, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People are always being haunted.
I mean, it makes sense.
That's-
It's everything is like a single step transformation from the thing before, and it's dragging its carcass into the next like iteration.
That's what made me want to get into paranormal podcasting, Banking, that's going to come and go. People will always be haunted.
You're right.
This is an evergreen endeavor.
Exactly.
Therefore, the people who experience these experiences should take the experiences seriously
Nice.
and should be taken seriously, is in parentheses.
Yes.
As the haunted people syndrome model suggests, the nature of such experiences can be shocking and sometimes anxiety provoking to the individual, and any such denial of experiences is not beneficial to the individual's well-being.
Sure.
Lathe says, clinical professionals certainly do not tell people with anxiety or depression that their experiences are not real or valid. At the very least,
Although that is kind of funny.
at the very least, haunted people syndrome is a valid cross-cultural, commonly experienced phenomenon and should be treated as such.
So is it like going too far if I get a therapist just so I can push this on them?
Just so you can get them to diagnose you as a haunted person?
Yeah.
I
No,
don't
I don't think so at all.
for anyone
Validate me.
for anyone who has experienced a haunting and might be struggling to come to terms with it, Lathe has the following advice. And I must say, this Lathe and Huron guy, despite like going like, how can we properly clinically explain what is happening, seem to be really open to the paranormal.
I mean, I guess they'd have to be, right? If
Like
they're
they're
making a
all
choice
for it to be like, this is
Yeah.
we have to call this what it is, but all these experiences be real.
Yeah, shadow men abound.
Shadow men abound.
So here is Lade's advice for anyone who is experiencing a haunting or might be struggling to come to terms with it. In these
All right,
sort
well,
of
now they're
experiences,
stepping on our toes, and I don't appreciate it.
I'm happy to see real academic research in the world of paranormal preparedness. Before it was just us. Now we have allies. Academic allies who recently wrote a book called Ghosted. It is unfortunately in the romantic advice
Yeah, I was going to say.
column. No, it's not. Anyway, check it out maybe. Number 1 for this advice, in these sort of experiences, knowing that your experience is actually not uncommon and has some predictability components to it is often helpful. According to Lathe, whether people choose to interpret anomalous experiences as paranormal or not, they do not have to feel alone or crazy for having gone through them due to the following reasons. Number 1, having just one paranormal experience is extremely unlikely. According to previous research, long histories of a variety of subtle and sometimes overt paranormal experiences are very common. As we discussed, once you're haunted once, you're haunted for life.
Yeah.
It is very rare for you not to be haunted for life. So take solace in that. You know, you're with a community of people who also can't sleep because of the horrors. Number 2, anomalous phenomena tend to be both subjective and objective.
Phenomena?
Phenomena. The eternal aspects of the experience include sensed perception or sensed presences or somatic touches or marks, whereas external aspects include objects moving or apparitions caught by technology.
Okay.
So it
familiar
can
with these
be
things.
everything.
Those
As we
are the-
see,
those are the hits.
we do firsthand accounts. We've also gone over real and have real paranormal footage on our YouTube. Check that out.
Yeah, we're miles ahead of you guys.
It's weird, you know. Evidence can definitely be both, I guess, subjective and
Yes.
objective.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just like the Amarillo figure from last week. It's
Mhm.
objectively there,
Mhm.
subjectively a furry walk of shame. I don't know.
Subjectively wearing pants.
Subjectively, a werewolf mid-change.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
And he hasn't taken off his pants yet. You know, you still have to unbutton it, fold it up, take it
Right,
with you,
right.
put it in your
It's a
wolf
whole thing.
backpack. It's a whole
Mhm.
thing.
Like he's only
Google-
got the one pair of good Dockers.
Google modern how to live like a modern werewolf and try to avoid the porn sites. We
that's got to be a real sharp Google scalpel like precision.
in the future, the researchers hope to start exploring, say it again for me, Jordan,
Transliminalism.
transliminality,
Liminality.
transliminality in the context of religious and spiritual practitioners who regularly and purposely invoke these types of phenomena.
Yeah, haunted by God.
Yeah, he's all like, I'm
Sure.
thinking we take my researcher buddies, we go to the desert with a shaman, take some peyote.
Here's what I'm thinking.
The Joe Rogan experience, if you will.
Mhm.
Lathe finishes off by saying, we strongly suspect these groups have developed significant mental processes and methods for facilitating their transliminality towards spiritual and experiential goals. Lathe explains, further, we hope to test and further confirm the haunted people syndrome model in both case studies, as well as collaborating with clinical psychologists to address how to include an incorporated haunting and religious experiences into meaningful and beneficial therapeutic experiences.
Damn.
Yeah, this article went everywhere. Said that hauntings are a psychological syndrome, and then said, no, all this is still real. I'm just trying to help everyone.
Sure.
I loved it. Lathe and Huron.
The book is Ghosted.
The recent book on this topic is Ghosted. This comes from Forbes.com by Mark Travers, who has done some other work we've actually reported on. He does a lot of the psychological work that is also paranormal in the contributor model that is now Forbes.
Psychonormal activity.
And once again, I'm going to call this Roger can't pronounce words that are two words mashed together,
Nice.
except for
Good name it.
paranormal. I got that one.
It's also a good name.
And now the skull is yours, Nate.
Compounds Zero. All right. Well, I thought I might do another installment of the Trees Nuts segment.
Hey, all right.
As there were a list of other trees that I did not have a chance to get to that are
Very
all
cool.
pretty interesting in their own weird ways.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, first up, and this one actually ends up relating directly to the Kalpa from the previous segment.
Oh,
Which is
okay.
interesting in a roundabout fashion. The Ninmenju or Jinmenju, it's got both spellings are perfectly fine apparently.
Either or both. Either or both.
Like how I respond to Roger or Robert. I don't,
Mhm.
it doesn't
Yes,
matter.
exactly.
Roglert.
Yeah, Rogler in some circles.
Rodler.
hmm
Which translates apparently to human face tree.
Ah!
I featured that for our cover, our thumbnail in our YouTube video.
Did you?
Nice.
Yeah,
Awesome.
quite the human face tree I found.
Human face tree.
Yeah, this is a good one. This is also technically a yokai.
Okay.
The article I have up for it is from yokai.com.
Yeah, okay.
Its habitat is mountain valleys. In appearance, the Ninmenju is a strange tree which bears flowers looking like human heads. These heads cannot speak, but they do smile and can even laugh. In the
Oh,
autumn, in the autumn, they bear face-shaped fruit which tastes sweet and
What?
sour.
Oh,
Yeah,
this
you
sounds
can-
so good.
Does
Except
it?
for
You
can-
eating a face, I like sour and
pluck a-
sweet fruits.
You can pluck a laughing face off of this thing and
yikes.
suck its sweet and sour marrow.
Bite me. Oh, eat me.
Here's an interesting experiment you can do if you ever find yourself in the presence of an Inmenju.
All the time.
Happens. If a person laughs at the tree, the head-shaped flowers will laugh back at that person. If you laugh- If they laugh too strongly, however, the heads will wilt and fall off the tree.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
Made
not
it-
that
made
one
it
from
sad.
So gotta keep the jokes at a real baseline median.
yeah.
Like,
They laugh. You laughed at it, not with it.
yeah. And then they became bullied and died.
Yeah.
The origins. The Ninmenju is an example of folklore that has traveled over great time and distance to become what it is. Ninmenju first appears in Japan in the Edo period encyclopedia Wakan Sansai Zue, which documents animals, plants, and yokai from both inside and outside of Japan. The description is paraphrased from Sankai Tahui a Chinese encyclopedia published in 1609. Sankai Tui describes Ninmenju as originating in the foreign land of Daishikoku. Daishi was the Japanese pronunciation of the Ming Chinese name for the Islamic world, which came from the Persian world Tezi or Tezai. Tezai was the Persian word for Muslims, derived from the Tei, an Arabic tribe which flourished under the Abbasid Caliphate. The wak-wak tree of Islamic folklore is very similar to the Ninmenju. This tree was described as bearing fruit shaped like humans and animals. The fruit could speak, but would die a few days after being picked. The trees grew on the mythical island of Wak-Wak in the land of Zanj, an area in Africa near present-day Zanzibar. And this is where it wraps around to the Kalpa. Legend has it that Alexander the Great had his death foretold by one of these trees.
Whoa. Oh, yeah. The talking tree.
Yeah.
That's
talking
crazy.
Tree, which itself in maps after like the 14th or 15th century was relocated somewhere in Africa,
Right.
out of northern India.
What if the tree was like,
Just moved.
oh, I know how you're gonna die. Come closer. You die because of D's. And it's like, he's like, what? Closer, come closer. You die because of D's. What's D's? D's nuts. And then he kicks him in the nuts.
I mean, I would appreciate that. Even if I was the one getting kicked in the nuts, I would appreciate the really
Oh,
solid
fuck, got
delivery.
me. Oh, he got my ass. Oh, he got me so good.
Oh, it hurts.
Oh,
A good one.
got me.
I mean, how often do you see a good new version of that?
Yeah.
It's very.
I mean, that would be a very old version, but yeah.
I guess that's true. An unexpected version, I guess.
Sure.
The wak-wak tree may be the same tree from
Wak-wak.
Daishikoku that the Senkai Tui refers to. Through trade between Ming China along the Silk Road, it's possible this Arabic myth is the model for what eventually became the Ninmenju.
Okay.
Yeah. So then we're going to stick with yokai in the form of trees.
I always try to like wonder what the alternative explanation is. Like, what's the rational explanation where, like, you know, somebody's asshole of a boss came and was an asshole to them. And then when they turned around, he was like, hey, fuck you. And he's like, what did you say? He's like, it was the tree. This tree can talk. Crazy. Right.
You heard it.
And even like the Pishtaco is like somebody's losing weight, but their family is really against CrossFit. And they're like, I don't know what's doing, you know, probably fat vampires,
I guess
white ones.
Am I right?
So this is the Juboko.
Okay.
I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, which translates into either tree child or shrub child.
Oh,
Its habitat is battlefields or places where mass deaths occurred,
whoa.
and its diet is blood.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, there it is.
In appearance, on the fields of war and sites of vicious massacres where the blood of thousands of warriors has saturated the soil, a strange kind of tree can be found. From afar, Juboku appear to be ordinary trees, indistinguishable from the various species that dot the landscape. It takes an observant eye to notice the slightly more fearsome features of its branches or the piles of human bones buried in the undergrowth beneath the tree. In fact, they were once normal trees, but the vast amounts of human blood absorbed through their roots transformed them into yokai.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Scary.
Therefore, thereafter, the trees thirst only for human blood. So here's how they get you. Juboko wait for unsuspecting humans to pass underneath their branches. When somebody gets close enough, they attack, snatching their prey with long, jagged, finger-like branches and hoisting it into their boughs. These branches pierce the skin of their victims, sucking out all the blood with special tube-like twigs.
Yikes.
After the body is drained, the flesh and organs are consumed by birds, insects, and other animals. So as long, it spreads, it's creating an ecosystem.
Sure.
Well, I can't hate on it too much.
Quite an
Yeah.
ecosystem.
Only the dry bones fall back to earth. By the time most people are close enough to notice the heaps of bleached bones at the base of the tree, it's too late to escape.
Sounds like Kaled in Elden Ring.
Mm-hmm.
The red rot.
It says that the Juboku sucks the life out of human beings in such a way as to always maintain a fresh appearance.
Okay.
So it always looks like a nice place to settle down. And
Vampire
just, you know,
tree.
yeah, it's basically a vampire tree. If you cut it, it bleeds like
Yikes.
human blood.
That's a thing. There are definitely trees that have like blood like sap.
Yeah.
Weird. I don't like that.
Yeah.
It is also said that a Juboko branch could heal and decontaminate an injured person.
Oh.
Although this does not give instructions on how that would occur.
I assume they gotta snort it.
Yeah, sounds like something you'd have to freebase.
Yeah.
That's usually how medicine works.
Yeah.
Doctors all like crush up 2 pills. Call me in the morning.
So it's also very possible, looking at the origin just from the Wikipedia article, folklore scholars such as Kunio Yanagita and Iwao Hino, who wrote works such as yokai stories and vocabulary of changes in Japanese yokai, respectively, state in written works about folklore yokai that there is no yokai that became the origin of the Juboku. I don't know why I keep fucking up this word. Jubokko.
I forgot how to say a core. So don't worry about it.
A group of experts from a group called
Sure.
To Scholar Conference, run by yokai scholars Natsuhiko
Sure.
Kyogoku and Tada Natsumi, writer Murakami Kenji and SF writer Yamamoto Hiroshi, said that there's no source of appearance for this yokai tree, and that it can be theorized that this yokai is actually an entirely fictional creature conceived by Shigeru Mizuki, who is not a dude that I know super well, but looking at his Wikipedia, may be largely responsible for us even knowing what the fuck yokai are outside of Japan.
Nice.
He was
Baller
the creator
work.
of he was the creator of a whole bunch of yokai manga that became yokai anime, and he started in the 1960s and is still being produced to this day.
Damn, one of the
Okay.
early boys with that Astro Boy maker, Tezuka.
Yeah. He actually has won an Osamu Tezuka Award for his work, as well as I think he recently won an Eisner.
Nice.
So yeah, Shigeru Mizuki.
An
worth
Ed
looking up,
Eisner. I want to
probably.
win one of those.
Yeah. So with that in mind, let's move on to.
Also, a cure. Nope. God damn it.
It's
I'll get it.
Akakkur.
I'll get it. I'm having Google whisper it in my ears constantly now.
Akakkur.
Let's talk about
Occur.
the Narifan. This is a Thai tree, also known as the Makalifan
Okay.
or Makalifala.
Okay.
Is a tree in Buddhist mythology which bears fruit in the shape of young female creatures. The maidens grow attached by their head from the tree branches. It grows at the Himafan, a mythical forest where the female fruits are enjoyed by the Gandharvas, who cut the fruits and take them away. The myth surrounding this thing is that according to Buddhist mythology, the god Indra created a pavilion as an abode for Vasantara, his wife, and 2 children to live. His wife went into the forest to collect fruits. She was, however, in danger of being attacked by hermits or yogis who lived in the forest.
Oh my.
I also read an article that referred to them as just terrifying men.
Yeah,
although
that
they
latter
had-
one seems a better descriptor.
just scary dudes in the forest constantly attacking this lady, trying to eat some fruit. Although they had acquired special powers from their meditation, they had not conquered lust. Therefore, Indra created 12 of these special Narifan trees. The trees would bear fruit whenever she went out to collect food and distract the men. The fruits were all in the image of Indra's beautiful wife. The men took the fruits to their place of abode and, after making love to them, would sleep for 4 months and lose their powers.
Whoa.
Yeah, they made fuckable fruits.
So were these
Wow.
like woman size?
No, they're about 8 inches long
Well, then where does the dick go?
in the shape of lemon.
Well, I think
I-
maybe it's.
It's
I think.
possible.
I think maybe the fruit
goes-
is driving the car.
Yeah.
know what I
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
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 According to Thai folklore, since Vesantara and his family have died, well, Vesantara, I believe, is
Also,
Since
I talk a big
since
game, but I don't think I could eat any of this human shaped fruit.
Yeah,
Like if it
yeah.
looked back at me or had a human body, I'd be like, you
Yeah.
know what?
Yeah,
You're
I've watched
too real.
I've watched too much Muppet Show to
Yeah.
want to eat any of the talking
Yeah,
vegetables.
Exactly.
definitely falls into that category.
Yeah.
Since Vesantara and his family have died, the trees bear fruit daily, but the forest will disappear when the Buddha's teachings have become lost, which is predicted to be 5,000 years after his death. When the fruits appear on the trees, they last for 7 days, after which they wither and die if they're not picked. This is also crazy.
Same.
They have the same internal organs as humans, but no bones.
Ugh.
Oh,
You bite into them and they bleed too.
So they don't have any bone in them.
No, they
Would
don't.
they, would they like some?
the boom.
that's- I mean, they were literally built for it.
Hmm.
These maidens also have magical powers and possess spirits which can sing and dance. So maybe you get a dancing spirit if you bust one of these things up, but
Okay.
I don't know. There are supposedly 2 Makaliporn pods in a Buddhist temple near Bangkok. It's said that they came from the Humafan, the mythical forest. At Wat Phut Udam temple near Pathamthani, there is a representation of the trees together with ghosts and hell scenes.
Ugh.
Now, as recently as 2016, there was a tree that supposedly was sprouting these woman fruits.
Oh, like it could happen to any tree and all trees could be cursed. I don't like this now.
Evidently. Here's an article. This one in particular is from Opera News. I don't know where this is from, but somewhere in Africa, possibly Nigeria. That's why it would be N Opera News. But headline is the origin of the strange narifan tree in Thailand that bears the fruit in the shape of women. So in 2016, a tree did grow in Thailand, supposedly bearing these fruit. There's pictures of it. I'll put them up on the Discord. As for the article, it says, wonders shall never end. Apparently there's a weird tree growing in Thailand, Asia, that appears to bear fruit in the shape of a young woman. Surprise, right? Well, not everyone is actually amazed by the shape of these fruits. Some are less convinced by the confusing photos. The origin anyway seems to lie in the Buddhist mythology, which is what I just told you. But yeah, there is a tree that supposedly was bearing these lady fruits recently.
Oh,
Okay.
well, everyone's gods are real. That's what we learn here on Werewolf
Mhm.
Radar.
And they are all fighting to bring you strange fruits.
Pretty much.
Yes. And not the strange fruit in the like the song Strange Fruit. It's
Right.
it's a whole different deal.
Strange fruit, like in my novella.
Yes.
Yeah. So we'll close out with a quick thing about the Zakum tree. This is from Demonic Paradise fandom.
Sure.
It opens with a quote from the Quran. Surely
Oh,
the tree of
nice.
the Zakum is the food of the sinful, like dregs of oil which shall boil in their bellies, like the boiling of hot water.
Oi.
Hmm.
The Zakum, also known as Zakum, is a tree that grows from the bottom of hell, according
Oh.
to Islamic faith.
Yeesh.
It says condemned sinners are given fruits from the tree, which cause great agony to anyone who eats them.
Whoa.
I'll show
the-
that.
Now, there's a better description because a different article I saw says that the tree, which is mentioned well, I'm not going to read the whole verse. It's a verse in the Quran. The tree that God Almighty created in hell and named a cursed tree. When the people of hell get hungry, they go to this tree to eat from it. The tree boils like hot water in their abdomens. God Almighty makes the tree of Zakum boil like molten copper in their bellies. The prophet states the following about the tree of Zakum. If one drop from the tree of Zakum were to fall into the seas of the world, it would turn the life of everybody upside down. What about the state of those who will eat Zakum? There are several kinds of torture in hell, of course. At least 9 different kinds, according to Dante, even more, according to this article. Hunger and thirst are 2 of them. A person feels so hungry that he chooses to eat from the tree of Zachem in order to be saved from the pain and agony caused by the hunger, though he knows it will boil like molten copper in his abdomen.
Wow.
Then he gets so thirsty that he chooses to drink boiling water and pus.
Oi.
And I've been there
Yeah, you're-
before. You should have had my smudge cake.
The fruits of Zachem are shaped like devil's heads. Some Islamic scholars believe in a literal meaning of this tree grown in fire, showing that the inverted flora of hell. The inhabitants of hell are forced to eat the tree's fruits, which tears their bodies apart and
Yikes.
releases bodily fluids as a punishment.
Ugh.
So if they're, I don't know if they're drinking their own pus with the boiling water, but
Sure.
I mean, I guess you could share it.
Probably
There's
a
lot
little,
of sinners down there.
probably some of everybody's.
Yeah. According to Umar Suleiman al-Ashkar, a leading Salafi scholar and professor at the University of Jordan, once the palate of the sinners is satiated, the fruit in their bellies churns like burning oil. So it just kind of sticks around. Other scholars suggest the tree is grown by the seeds of evil deeds of the sinners. Therefore, the devilish fruits are the fruits of their own sinful actions during lifetime. As Ibn Arabi stated, quote, the tree stands for the arrogant self. It also has sentience, as it speaks with an angel about its purpose. The angel said that it will serve as food for the damned, along with melted iron as drink. The tree understands, and with fury burned itself into the time until the time comes. I assume the time is the end of the world. The first person to consume it is Abu Lahab, one of Prophet Muhammad's uncles, and the one who opposed both his nephew and Islam. So that's kind of the short on the tree of Zachem.
Yikes. That's the worst one.
Yeah, it
a
was up there.
Terrifying hell tree.
It's the worst tree I've ever heard of.
I sent a picture on our Discord, and that fruit, man, it's still staring at me.
Yeah, no, all of these trees have faces. A bunch of them.
Oh, I was looking at the wrong thing.
Which I guess given that they all have faces, we'll retitle this version of this segment Trees Eyes. Trees Eyes.
Trees eyes have seen a lot of faces coming from hell, and you eat them and you drink some pus. Yeah, you know about it.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Any other strange trees to tell us about?
Oh, there will probably be further segments of this thing. I found a lot of weird trees last week and continue to research them.
Keep them coming. Let's do a part 3 though, as I think we're coming to the end of this one.
Yeah. That's going to have to be for a future date. Speaking of dates,
another
weird
episode.
tree.
Yeah, the tree that grows dates is called that because somebody used to date them, much like the tree that guy fucked. All right, folks, thank you so much for continuing to listen to Werewolf Radar, and for telling your friends, and for telling your enemies, and for checking us out on twitch.tv/werewolf_radar Mondays at 4 p.m. We play D&D. It's a really fun campaign called Night Bastard, and you got to come check it out because it's getting more and more crazy every time. Last time, Sam Talent ripped off a monster's penis.
Oh, yep. I got to make that clip. You'll see that soon on our Twitter.
Yeah.
We will be using that to advertise. That's the kind of people we want in there. Shout out to Chuck from Snappy Little Numbers for our intro and outro song. And shout out to you, the listener at home, keeping ever vigilant against the tides of strangeness sweeping across the land, or perhaps joining them because they need not be feared. Once you become the darkness, you have nothing to fear of it, as
And
they
also-
say. The voices.
And also, can I say thank you for everyone hitting us up about various stories to do segments on? They've been phenomenal. We got our grave nugget from you. We got that tale from the skinwalker down in Amarillo, Texas from you. Thank you.
I would also love to hear your personal ghost stories.
Anecdotes.
If you have something weird that happened to you, or to your uncle, or to your dog, or your cousin who ain't been quite right since, please hit us up. We will treat it with generosity and kindness, and we will not lampoon you.
We will
even
lampoon
though-
ourselves in that
we will lampoon
situation.
ourselves. I'm even gonna make a room on our Discord called Personal Encounter. No, it'll be called It Happened to Me. That's one of my favorites.
He's doing it. Also, hello everyone that joined our Discord. What's up?
Yeah.
There's been a couple of you. We're growing into a real Discord,
A
but without the
real-
bitcoins.
Boy. Hell yeah. So until next time, as always, you'll learn we do this every episode, people new to the pod. On the count of 3, our sign-off line. 1, 2, 3. Punch,
Punch the
sky!
skies,
Spaceman
Joe. Thank you, Janet, Adam, Brian, A from Beyond.